Well, Jordan, what a round. Bogies, birdies, eagle,
Not a lot of pars.
not a lot of pars. You're now beautifully positioned for tomorrow. What are your thoughts going into tomorrow?
When I finished the round, I thought I'd either be tied or one back, and it looks like I may be 2 or 3. Either way, that's a lot better than I was through 4 holes today. Great fight back. One of the best fought rounds I've had that I can remember. I mean, to be in a position starting the day to make a bit of a move and then to completely just fall out of it in the first 4, completely out of sync, disinterested, just not disinterested, but just lazy in my decision making and my swings, and to completely rebound there, really making that up and down on 5 for birdie was key, just to see a putt go in. I knew that if I knew my putter's been feeling better and better each day, and I knew that if I just had some putts, whether they're mid-range or short putts, that I'll make some. I just need to have some opportunities, and that one on 5 proved it. I knew that I could hit my lines. I knew I was reading them right, and then 6, 7 should have gone in, and then 9. Once I birdied 9, 8's a tough hole. Once I birdied 9 to get back to 1 for the day, I thought that I was definitely going to be okay with a couple par 5s on the backside to maybe shoot under par and keep myself in it. So I was able to settle down through 5 holes because Michael did a great job in setting a goal for me there. I hit my tee shot on 5, and when I got to the fairway, he met me there and said, "All right, let's get yourself to even par by the time you step on 8, even par for the day by the time you step on 18 tee box. That way we can birdie that hole, shoot under par, and move on." And he said, "Enough with this crap. No bad talk." He said, "No bad self-talk. Believe in it. Let's hit some greens. You got some easy holes coming up." And that's all I needed to hear to really help turn it around. I was trying to turn it around in my head anyways, and it was fantastic from there. Just great golf to go 7 under with a bogey from there, from the 5th hole on.
Questions, please.
Jordan, I doubt you were trying to hold the second shot on 17. You looked a bit like the cat that swallowed the canary. But talk a bit about the jolt of energy that gives you, particularly after you talked about the start where you felt flat and lazy, and not just for that hole and the next hole, but for tomorrow when something like that happens.
Yeah, it's two extra shots that you don't expect. That pin's such a tough pin right there on 17. And I had an 8-iron in from about 180, 181 yards. 167, I think, to the front of the green, and my 8-iron with a good solid high fade like that shot is right at about that front number. Now I had some help wind to carry it an extra 4 or 5 paces onto the green, but I flushed it and I looked up and it was right on line, and I was just hoping, if that lands 3 yards further than it is, it takes a hop and it's a good chance it's off the back of the green there. It's just such a tough pin to go at. I was trying to go 10 feet left of it, and obviously the wind took it 10 feet further right, and fortunately so, but that's a huge boost of momentum. Yeah, the save on 16 was massive as well. I mean, the saves on 13 and 16 to just keep that back 9 flow in rhythm and know that I'm hitting some really quality shots. But bad swing on 16 was really the only bad swing I made on the back 9, and those saves were massive, but then you obviously capitalize on top of that. And if I miss that putt on 16, I may take 3-wood off the tee on 17, trying to push it to get another birdie. And instead, I'm laying back knowing there's a par 5 left and playing the smart way.
Just, sorry, last one for me. Maybe 2 or 3 shots behind, but only one player. How important
maybe 4
is
shots
that?
now.
Maybe. But how important is that it's only one player ahead, or maybe 2? Not
Right, yeah. No, it certainly makes it easier than if it was more. But Matt Jones is a person who I was actually interviewed before this week started for the opening of what's your sporting goods store here? I should know this. Rebel for a new Rebel Sports for Under Armour. I was there, and I was asked on the podium, outside of the top 3 names in the field, 4 names in the field, who's a guy that you would look out for this week? And I said Matt Jones, and I had yet, I think, to play a practice round with him at the time, which we did this week. But he's a guy who can, with confidence, really roll this putter well. And he's a guy who isn't fazed by the wind. He hits a nice little, punch draw ball flight, and he's not letting up. So You'd like it to be somebody else than someone who you've played a lot of golf with and seen make a lot of birdies. But the fact that there's only one guy that I'm chasing, and I'll be in his group, means I can control a lot of what I didn't think I was going to be able to control through 4 holes.
Jordan, when you tee up every week, you want to win the tournament you tee up in, but this is the first event, I guess, in 7 over the next 9 months where you're defending a tournament. What would it mean to you now to be sitting here tomorrow night as a successful defending champion?
Oh yeah, it'd be a feeling I haven't experienced. I've only, as a professional, I've only had one opportunity to defend, and that was the John Deere in 2014, and I finished maybe 6th or 7th, and then ended up winning it this year. But defending a tournament's hard to do. You have those memories from the last year, those expectations from the last year, and I need to throw out tomorrow's final round kind of out of memory, because it's, you want to remember the putts you made and kind of the rhythm you were in and feeding off the crowd. But at the same time, you can't expect to have that kind of a round. You've got to expect to battle and to be tight, and for Matt to be up there as a tough guy to chase. So it's a different situation from being tied for the lead, where you need to break free, versus chasing. But it'd be a pretty special moment, and if I were lucky enough to be sitting here in that moment, I'll tell you that I'll try and defend the next 6, because there were 6 pretty good ones then after that.
Brendan.
Jordan, heading out in tomorrow's final round against Matt, how do you combat it becoming match play and perhaps focusing on the man rather than the round?
Might be a bit difficult depending on how the start is. But I've now seen with enough competitive Sundays that so much happens in 18 holes, so many scores flip and flop, and if he gets off to a hot start and I don't, it doesn't mean it's over. I was able to turn today's round around. We're capable of going on some pretty cool runs just as he is. But that's going to be something that I'm going to have, that's going to be a challenge for me, is playing the golf course and playing my own game instead of looking at what he's doing and what he's at. And there's not many big scoreboards around here, which is almost advantageous if you're not in the last group. But since I will be, I'll know exactly what the leader is starting the day, and it's going to be definitely something that I'm going to have to work on.
So even though you're world number 1, does that mean that every time you get in this position, you're still on a learning curve?
I think you can learn I think you can take something positive in and learn something to improve on each time you're in the position. But that's just a label. I mean, it's just it's a label that looks better when you guys are writing it. For me, Matt Jones has played the best golf through 3 rounds. He's played better golf than I have, and I have to somehow not only play better golf, but play better golf by multiple shots in order to win the tournament tomorrow. No matter where you're ranked in the world, he's played this golf course better than I have up until now, and I've got to somehow overcome that. And the only thing that label does is maybe in his mind, he knows that we're coming for him, and he knows that we can close, and we believe we can close. And maybe that puts a bit of fear in him, but knowing Matt, he'll probably laugh at it.
Bruce.
Jordan, last year you arrived off the back of a 3rd place finish at the Dunlop Phoenix. This year you've probably arrived here a little underdone, but you appear to be getting better each day. Your scores suggest that. Do you feel that's the case, and do you think you're peaking for tomorrow?
Yeah, it's definitely easier to come off of a solid finish the week before. It's easier to for me, I've typically played my best golf off of some nice finishes, whether the week before or 2 weeks before, just so you have some momentum. In China, I came in extremely rusty, hardly practiced, and actually worked my way into a top 10 there. And I took a lot of confidence out of that week coming into this 2-week stretch, knowing that I'm going to get a lot more work in. Cameron's going to be here. I'll have a lot of confidence on the first tee each day, knowing that I've had each shot looked at by the person I trust the most with my golf swing and my putting, and around the greens. But yeah, it is. That's still we still had a couple weeks off, and you go back across continents, back and forth, and it's a bit harder to get it going right away. But we came over here early enough to where I really should have. That excuse isn't there. I felt ready to go day one. We've been working on some things. They've just gotten a little bit easier day to day, and my putting's been just a slightly better day to day. And so I do believe that I have yet to peak at this tournament. I don't know if it'll be good enough, but I think it'll peak tomorrow.
Jordan, just wanted to ask you how you deal with your emotion and your anger out on the course when you play a bad shot or you're playing not as well as you'd like. I'm thinking of the way you were really angry with yourself at 16 today when you hit it in the bunker.
Yeah.
Has it changed over time as well? I'd like to know that.
No, I mean, I'm passionate. I'm very involved in each shot. I guess it's who I am. I mean, the shot on 16 is the same shot I've had 15 times this week with a 5 or 4 iron, and I just haven't hit one of them good. Not one shot with a 5 or 4 iron with that kind of breeze. I've had into right to left or into left to right, and they're mishit, and they're just poor shots. I mean, they're shots I should hit on the green, I would imagine, 75, 80% of the time, and I've missed almost all the greens that I've had those shots on. And that's what's really frustrating for me there, is that I hit such a great 6 iron the hole before with the same wind, and I had a number that was just 10 yards further, so it should be perfect for a 5. And I just didn't put a great swing on it. I mean, luckily I've been driving the ball fantastic. So I was just very frustrated because it's just I'm sitting over that ball going, okay, I put a good swing on it last hole. This is finally time to hit this nice solid 5 iron up to 20 feet, 15 feet right of the hole and have a good look. And then I just struck it so poorly again, and that's what was so frustrating. It's not the it's just a bad strike, just bad execution, and that's what bothered me there. And I have been frustrated a few times out here this week, whether it's just the decisions with the crosswinds and not playing them right, or it's bad strikes, or a combination of both. But it's been few and far between because I have been driving the ball well and putting myself in positions where I should hit greens. I need to hit more greens tomorrow.
Jordan, just picking up your comments about the world number 1 ranking. So if you were to end the year as number 1 in the world and going into 2016, doesn't really matter to you then? Do you get any sort of bragging rights going into the...
No, I certainly would like to be up there because it just means that I played these next 2 tournaments well, which is the goal. I think it's just something that comes with it. That's not something at this point that I'm trying to – that's not my goal, is to finish whatever place I have to finish to maintain number 1 going into next year. I'd like to win each tournament so I can try and separate myself, but more importantly, just to win each tournament. I've reached that goal. I've been at that goal, and which was a lifelong goal of mine. So at this point, yeah, I'd like to maintain it, but it's not something that it takes over my mind.
2 more questions, please.
Jordan, when you guys had the practice round on Tuesday, who hit them better?
It's a birdie game. We just do off of birdies, and then if you don't make your birdie chance or you miss the green and don't hole it, we're just practicing to the other holes anyways. That way, it's not a grind, but you can still have some putts. And I believe I was the one who finished ahead on Tuesday with a birdie on 7 and 9. There weren't many birdies to be had in our group. I think Maddie had 1. And I had 2, and Brett had 0.
Last question, please.
Jordan, could you talk us through your second shot on 18 today, yardage club? And whether I wasn't behind it, but I wasn't sure whether you had to hit it out over the pond and bring it back, or what was it like?
Yeah, I was really happy to hit that fairway. It changes the hole completely. I had 215 yards to the front, 223 to the hole. And right before I was discussing with Michael, saying we knew the club. It was a perfect 3 iron for me because it carries, and I can still hit it up in the air. I can do whatever with it, and it's actually just a really good number. And I discussed with him, do we just hit it right at the bunker? Is that our target? Do we hit it into the sand trap and we just hit a nice little bunker shot out there? And then the bunker's a perfect spot. You hit a slap bunker shot to 6 feet or in, and you make the putt. And or do you try and go kind of at the pin with a draw, and if it misses left in the bunker, fine. If it actually goes on line, then you're on the left side of the green. And we decided to just go ahead and hit it at the bunker. And I got over it, and I'm sitting there, and it's a little upslope, and it's a really good lie, and it's a good club. And I'm like, you know what, screw this. And I just kind of adjusted my alignment to go more at the hole. Right after, I mean, it was probably on camera, me saying, all right, so right at the middle of that sand trap. And instead I just adjusted my feet over to the hole. And I meant for it to turn more. It actually started and kind of finished where it started. It was a little hold shot. I meant for it to turn over to the left side of the green, but obviously fortunate there too. A couple good breaks on 17 and 18.